Welcome to Shed Life. We've got another awesome episode coming up. As I said, everyone's welcome in the shed, so we just love catching up, telling stories, good people working hard. This one's going to be fun. Rob Bull, New Zealand Lean Academy, business advisor across the motu, across the country. He helps businesses all the time getting ahead, structuring it, and we're talking about what do you need to succeed in 2026. Discipline, structure, and process. Let's hand Rob. Thank you.
Cheers, man.
What are you seeing and what are you working with businesses that are actually looking to get ahead and seeing what's going on behind the roller doors, as you said?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all the stuff that we're doing, and you talked about that, systems, processes. It's the stuff that isn't sexy.
Yeah.
And it is around doing the basics well. Like, let's literally get your shed organised. Let's get the workshop. Let's declutter it. Let's clean it up, and actually start stepping back and seeing how your team work.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get busier in a few months, so we might need a few more staff. Going, just call the tracks on that one.
Yeah.
And go, let's look at how your team are working, how they're organised, and can you just make it easier for them so when the jobs do come in, they can actually cope for it. So, yeah, it's
just
boring.
Talking about,
it's boring stuff.
That's it. It's boring, but we're down for boring. I don't think that's boring anyway. I love discipline. How often do you have to go into somewhere and literally suggest cleaning the workshop or cleaning the offices? You brought that up straight away. Is that just a common thing that you see?
It's a good starting point, and every job, every new client that we've come across, that's the first cab off the rank. One, because it's visible, and the team members, you enjoy coming to work when you turn up to a cool place like this, and it's clean, it's organised. Whereas if it was just cluttered, it bring cluttered space, cluttered mind. So it's just a good way to engage. Literally get on the brush and shovel. I'll put my work boots on and get on and sweep the shed.
Yeah.
And it's just a great way to engage and just to get the soft conversations alongside the guys. So, yeah, it's quite often where we start, just so we can really get down on the ground floor, literally.
Yeah, nice. And how often, because I noticed that when I first started at Waikato Sheds, is that it had been going for a long time. Brian had it at the fruit shop, and that is, I got the runs on the board, and I was like, on the old place, can I clean this up? And I got the kids in when they were much younger, and it was like water blasting years of grime off walls, and just, do we really need this brochure for a brand that doesn't exist anymore? Can we just burn it, get rid of it all? What effect, because I think that is huge, whether it's cleaning your bedroom, cleaning the house, cleaning the yard, is doing it. But for businesses, it surprises me how often people don't take that, what sort of effects do you get when you see people do that?
So it's a couple of things. One is when we do that, I always say, look, cleaning up after yourself, that's not around business improvement or excellence or lean thinking, right? Because to me, that's just about being a good colleague.
Yeah.
That's good human cleans up after themselves.
Yeah.
But it's the process. Because if you're resetting your workplace, even then this could be in the office in the filing system, and you clean it up, you put back those files where they should be and all of that, it just makes your job easier the next day.
Yeah.
It's the discipline. So if you do that, then you're starting to think about, does that need to be there or on the other side of the workshop? So you're cleaning with a purpose. So we just slowly start bringing in that discipline part of it. I mean, at the start, it's just a good fun spring clean. But that's a good human. That's just collegiality and all of that kind of stuff. But then we bring in a purpose for it. Then you clean to inspect. Then you clean to find out the problems. And you just build the complexity. If it is complex, I still think it's relatively common sense and simple, but we just don't do those simple things well, consistently.
Yeah, that's do you think that's something that's been lost, or is it something that's not as thought about as much? I think because we live in such a complex, busy world these days, is often just doing the simple things right,
Mm.
as people don't seem to grasp how important that could be. And I think cleanliness is, I mean, I notice it, a clean site's a good site is a common thing
Mm.
in the building game. And I really notice it. The guys that blow down their work site, they're always, picking up the rubbish, picking up all the loose screws, all these sort of things. They build a better shed than the guys that don't. Like, there's just a fundamental difference, and it sort of flows through to everything. It's a clean, if they got a clean unit and they do it, and it's like, hey, if they don't, I still love you guys. But, like, you notice on how people structure, and the best builders we work with by far are always the tidiest builders.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you hear the stories and it's well and true and proven and written out there, but the All Blacks, they clean the shed.
Yeah.
And does that make them a better rugby team? No. Does that help them with their skills? No. But does that help with a discipline process? Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that leaders are not above being on the broom.
Yeah.
So it's all of those dynamics that kick in. And it's the same philosophy in a business as it is with the All Blacks. Yeah. So when that story came out, I just went, thank you.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a great parallel to high performance business and high performance sports. They all take the same
100%
methodology.
100%. I'll shout out Cairo. We had a chat, I think it was last week, and it was like, the parallels between competitive sports, but fighting, boxing, business is war, and it's that competitive edge and the competitive spirit and the desire to win. If you can apply that across the business, it's the same again. It's that discipline. So we're talking getting ahead 2026. Discipline. What else would you just say in terms of discipline in the business that you're seeing for people that people might be able to pick up, or you think, hey, that's something that I can do? Because cleanliness for 100%.
Yeah, it's. I think you touched on it before. We get busy being busy.
Yeah.
Right. And particularly business owners, they're always been the superhero to fix all the issues up, and they put their cape on and come in and solve the problems. And a little bit of a saying that I often have is, quite often the firefighter is the arsonist.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
So it's about slowing down and not being busy.
Mm-hmm.
Just slow down enough so you can start seeing actually what is happening.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of my business owners, and the manufacturing clients are easy because we can literally get them in the workshop and go stay there for 20 minutes and tell me what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And I did this exercise a couple of years ago with a couple of young business owners. They're fabricators, they're making trailers and all that. And after 7 minutes, one of the owners was just still watching this young guy walk around the shed, and he hadn't added value. He hadn't done anything on this trailer he was building.
Yeah.
10 minutes went by. He goes, I can't do this any longer. Went up to him. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, I'm looking for the 12 mil socket. He goes, that's a standard process. There should be one there all the time, but it's not. So let's solve that problem. But the exercise was, he slowed down. I made him watch. He saw that problem, and now we can fix it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're running in and you're busy and helping out, and you don't see that.
No.
And it just goes, because you go into that tunnel vision. So it's just slow down and actually see what's happening and what can you change and improve. Or ask your team, why are you doing it this way? Oh, because that tool's been broken for 2 months. Say what now?
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that we hear and see all the time.
Yeah, so even if that guy was an apprentice, but if it's a 12 mil socket or a 12 mil little spanner, they're worth, you can get really expensive ones, so maybe it's like super high end because it's manufacturing, it's $50, but it could be $5. He could have already wasted that amount of money and time that it would cost to just have those spare little tool sets.
Absolutely. Like, I have teams that have got those $50 sockets at every workstation, and they've doubled up because you add, my back of the envelope conversation is, you have to look or wait for 5 minutes a day, and 3 of you are doing that, that's 15 minutes to, add that up. That's nearly 3 weeks worth of time lost per year. Now, if I said you can get that 3 weeks every year back for a couple of $50 sockets,
Yeah.
you'll be down at the tool shed fairly pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Easy.
And so that's the sort of, so someone gets you and we're busy, we're going to have more workload coming up, positives, we're going to need to hire more staff. It's like, hey, maybe let's set back. How could we better enable the staff for potentially the $50 socket or the $5 socket to be able to do more? That's pretty cool. The firefighter is the arsonist. How do you see that play out with business owners? Like, is that bring everything to me, I need to sign everything off, or I know source of
a lot of that, like, and this is a New Zealand is such a cool place to do business.
100%.
Right. Problem is it's so easy to do business, to create a business. You're a good insert your job here. Sparky, electrician, builder, whatever, fabricator, welder. So then you create a business out of it, and that's awesome. But what they tend to miss that step, and it's the book E-Myth. If you've ever read the E-Myth, read it, because it takes us through this journey, and it's 30 odd years old now, but we still see it as you're the technician. So they remain the technician. So they keep going into the weeds. So they've always got the answer. Whereas we're going, you might have the answer now, but every time you get pulled in, fix the problem, but do a second fix. Go back next Tuesday, 10 o'clock. Let's sit aside for an hour and dig down why that happened and what can we do to train you up or train someone else. Do you have the right skills? So you can slowly get yourself out of the business.
Yeah. So
you can work on the business, not in it, and all of those cliches.
Now, I think people would be listening to this and saying, oh, but they don't know it as good as I do. I told them and then they didn't write. I was like, how do you help someone? Because I can just hear that, how many times I've turned up on a site or been somewhere and there's 3 guys watching one other guy work or something like, hey, I've got to show you it, 3 dudes,
Let them go. Let them do it.
Yeah.
As long as they're not going to make a complete howler that costs tens of thousands of dollars. But one of the best learning opportunities is to someone to try and fail.
Yeah.
Like lean, when we get into it, it's all about lots of mini experimentations. Does this work? Is this way? Just because you did it this way and you're showing 20 years how to do it that way. And I had one really good story, CNC owner up in Auckland.
Yep.
And one of his team members...
Just describe what a CNC...
sort of a big fancy lathe. So they put pieces of metal in, whole different axes, and they can make any shape and form that you want out of a piece of metal.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
Pretty cool stuff, and way more common in New Zealand than people realise.
And these guys were doing real high-end stuff.
Yeah.
But one of his team members, he was doing a repetitive job, like pushing out hundreds of these different units, put it in a machine. And he turned to his boss and he went, oh, if we did it this way, this, and this, I reckon we can do it a little bit easier and faster. And he was about jumping and go, no, this is the way I've shown you. And he told me, he goes, I reflected on it, but I just heard your voice going, just let him go.
Yeah.
Because he did a bit of a sense check going, it will work, but I don't know if it will work better than me. He did it 30% quicker. Or was it 70%? He did it in 30% of the time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was his reaction. And he goes, what if I never let him go?
Yeah.
And so that role model, you can imagine the other team members who saw that went, oh, now I can try the way I think. Because the best person to do it is the one who is doing it every day.
Yeah. So that must lead to better engagement. Yeah. Feel like they can do it. Yeah, giving people a chance to come up with the plan. Yeah, I like to think of it a lot of the time as like, okay, what's your plan? What's your idea to solve this problem? And then if it's different to my plan, but their plan looks like it's going to work, it's like, oh, well, let's just go with your plan. So
Yep.
I've got so used to it sometimes now, so I don't even bother trying to think of what my plan will be, unless I'm like, hey, there's something that sounds really off, or I think that plan is going to massively fail. I might say, hey, have we thought about this? But otherwise, it's like, hey, well, what do you think it's going to be able to do? It's yeah, that's an interesting one.
But you coach them through. You going, have you considered this, this, and this? And they might say, oh no, thanks for that. But at least you're coaching them through that and then allowing them.
Yeah.
Rather than, no, I don't think it will work.
Yeah.
So if you see some obvious ones, because might not be as qualified or experienced as you, so give them that moment. But what you've done as a leader is you've slowed down, you've engaged, you've spent the time, you've gone through some rational discussion, and then you go. So it is that source, it's that slowing down to enable better things to happen.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to caveat this, and I'm going to say nothing drives a leader or often a business is more crazy is if someone just starts and then they immediately know what they're immediately trying to pull it apart. So if you're thinking, hey, I've got a boss, or I think I could do something better, have you put the runs on the board to deserve to be able to push it? And by that, I mean, are you turning up on time? You're doing a good job. You're proving you can do it right one way, and you earn the ability to say, hey, I can do it. This is my idea. I think there's a lot to be said for proving that if you're thinking, hey, I could tell my boss how we could improve this, is just make sure that you're doing everything right first, rather than just trying to do reinvent the wheel without understanding the full scope of it. I say it all the time. Every time I start a new salesperson in particular, they're like, oh, we should do this, this, and this. I'm like, man, we've been pretty successful for 20 years. Why don't we just follow this process for a while? Once you've proven to me that you can follow our process and you can do it, then I'm more than open for you to tell me what it's going to, what you think we can do. But let's just try it this way first, prove that you can do it, and then let's expand it out.
So there's a couple of things here. Sometimes the newbie sees the obvious gaps.
100%.
Right. But the process also has to be documented. It has to be a standard somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of our businesses don't, you do it my way, but I've just passed it on verbally.
Yeah.
Like, let's create a standard, because then we've got something to measure it by. And if you're the newbie and you're coming in all enthusiastic, which is brilliant, look, let's write down those ideas, but park them. We won't lose them, because we'll respect your ideas. And then as you get into some experience, and then you'll learn, oh, that's why we do it now. Now I get it. Or, you're 6 months in, you've earned those stripes. And I'm definitely a big fan of that, earn those stripes to be able to, and you go, hey, these ideas that were still on the wall, they're still legit. Can we try one?
Yes.
And then you go, yeah. So what also, I think a lot of business owners, leaders, they'll dismiss ideas and forget about them. So have the ideas board up there and just go, look, it's a great idea, but not now.
Yeah.
We might circle back and they might become a good idea, relevant, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. It might be a good idea, but it's going to be a $30,000 machine. When we can afford that, we'll get it.
Yeah.
But when you're being transparent, people respect that. You acknowledge your ideas and you go, people respect that, but you just got to have that sort of feedback loop.
Okay, so discipline, structures, I suppose, and we spoke about putting in place processes with it. I just wanted to touch on it before I want to get into a bit of the backstory and talk about New Zealand Lean and that. Getting on the front lines, how effective is that, and how often do you, and that's what I refer to as standing on the shop floor as your front line, the building site, the suppliers, like how big is that when you go and working with somebody?
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You can't do this from the office. You can't, occasionally we sit into a meeting room, we might do a good old process map and the post-it notes and all that, but the staff who are doing the job are there.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to bring them into the nice warm boardroom and do that. They always enjoy that. And, oh, do you want to do a coffee? So you become that servient leader when they're in your space. But it's always got to be in where the work's done.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. You always want to do it more. I've got my eyes out on there, but being able to just, what does it look like on the front lines? What does the product delivery look like? What does the sales conversations look like? What do all of these things look like from the ivory tower?
So there's a saying in lean. It's go and see. Right, go to, in Japanese it's called Gemba, which is where the value is added, where the job's done. And go and see. And this is when, going back to that story of observing, is you've got to do that to understand. Because I've seen it, that might be a documented flow chart of how that job's done, but gone to the admin person who does it and they went, oh no, this is actually how we do it. Because I've figured out a workaround that's way easier, even though someone else going, I know how to do this job, and they've written it differently. So it's, what's documented versus reality can be quite different.
100%. And don't be afraid of, just because it's been written down, it can be changed. It can be improved.
It should be changed.
The book should be rewritten. The manual should be rewritten constantly. It's like, how do we keep improving? How do we make this slightly better? I think that sometimes my staff have probably got used to it slightly more now, but I'm always like, how do we make it better? How do we make it better? Oh, but it's already really good. I'm like, I know, but it can be better. How can we make it better? How can we improve the process? How can we just make it nice?
If you don't have improvements, that's the problem. But also, if you don't put time aside to think about that, to have those conversations. So I'm talking half an hour a week. Do a debrief session at the end of each project. But how many jobs do we just go clean up, put the tools back in the truck, and rush to the next job? And we don't. That's the part that we try and encourage teams, is doing those reflective, processes.
And it can be all manner of things. I'll just give an example of it that happened literally this morning. Is we've been doing some commercial projects, and they've gone really well, but there's always been a little bit of a friction between different levels of project managers and things on site. Everyone's got a lot of deadlines. There's a lot of pressure constantly going on in commercial construction. And the project's going really well, on time, on budget. We're going to do it. We're going to have a bit of a roof shout barbecue for all the teams on site. And I was saying it to the PM, is, what we should have done with this project is we should have just done a little lunch or something at the very beginning, break bread, break fast, with it, and just made sure we were aligned, because we obviously were aligned through the tender and the planning process and that, but there's nothing like, if we're taking that, it would be more like a couple of hours, but very little over across a multi-million-dollar project, and just like, hey guys, this is who we are, this is it, let's just have a lunch together, or bring in some scones, or what, to it. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, let's just make sure we do it for the next one, because we'll be here, they'll be there. And I think if we'd done that, we could have just eliminated some of those friction email conversations and things by like, hey, we're all on the same page to make this a success. So
and that's why one of the most used tools that I've got, it's not I've got, one of the most used tools that I utilize is the daily toolbox, daily stand-up, toolbox, huddles, whatever you call them. And I get a lot of pushback, because like, why, we're only a team of say 10. We talk to each other all the time. I go, no, you don't talk about what's your plan, what's in the way, what could slow you down. Let's solve those problems before they actually happen. But it's also, it's about that just daily check-in and engagement. And particularly if it's led by the most junior staff, and the senior team members are just sitting around getting that sense check. So this is that sort of emotional check-in, why is Jason looking a little bit off? I might just use that, go to him later on and Hey,
Yeah.
how it might be, something happened last night that threw you off. Okay, so we'll just tuck some support. So it's those micro moments, but you achieve that by the day, having that engagement every day.
Mm.
Set the plan, set the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. It's something that could be obviously borrowed or is so used in high performance sport. As you think of how simple rugby's, it can be a bit complex with scrums and lineouts, but rugby or something, they all know how to play rugby. Pass, catch, tackle, and that. But it's every day. It's like, okay, what are we doing? What is the focus? How do we just get that a little bit better? But also just how do we make sure that we're ready to perform? So I think we all know that is a rugby game or a sports game, it's the mental at a certain point. Is physically it can be entirely equivalent, or one could even be better, but it's like, who's going to bring the thing? But if you bring the same thing to the business, and then I know our largest cost, and I imagine for most businesses, is the wage bill, by a long shot. So it's like, well, how do we get the best value out of it? And it can sound a little bit cold, but it's just the truth of it. It's like, okay, if we're paying, whatever X amount of money to say, it's like, well, how do we get the best out of it? And then that's how going to be how do we good for the employee? How are they doing the best job? There's job security, satisfaction, everything, but just like, how do we perform the best?
But and there's research that goes back decades now around this. I was just finished reading a book around happiness, and happy staff perform, I think, 4 times better than unhappy.
Yeah.
But happiness is the preceder. You don't actually create a good work environment, then they become happy, then they work better. They've just got to be happy first.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's supported by is a worldwide HR firm, Gallup, and they've researched this for decades now. And engaged staff perform 19.7% better than disengaged staff.
Yeah.
So without looking at those systems and those processes, just making sure your team are happy, clean up the things, make it you feel pride, and have a few laughs, but engage your staff, check in. How can I make your job easier? Oh, you need that tool. Buy that stupid tool.
Yeah.
Because they'll be 20% more productive because you're engaging them. How can I solve that problem for you? Or how can we do it together?
Yeah, that's a really powerful one again, I suppose. You're working with, you think about that engaged versus not engaged, and I don't know whether that's 20% or a 40% difference, stats. How I say that is, if an engaged person is 20% more effective and an unengaged is 20% less effective, is that meaning in the middle? Yeah. Is it a 40% swing between it, or is it a 20% swing? Because that's either 1 or 2 days a week. You could have someone, it's the equivalent 100%. Of having someone either working an extra day or 2 a week, and that's the same again. It goes back to it. You wanted to grow your business, you wanted to get ahead. How do you get more? One of the only equal things in life, possibly the only equal thing in life, is time. We all get 24 hours in a day. And so how do we maximize it? How do we deal it with people?
Yeah. And I know, you're right. It does sound cold, but if you just go up and go, how can I make your job easier? Or how can we make your job easier?
Yeah.
So this is, Pure Lean is all about customer value.
Yeah.
But probably the longer I do this, there's a few other lean thinkers out there in the world going, nah, don't worry about the customer, because they're the outcome.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the team member. And going, right, how can we make their job, or make them make their job as easy and fun and simple as possible? Because if that can happen, everything just flows, and the outcome is customers happy.
Yeah.
Because if your boys are on the work site and you've got that engagement and they're happy and everything's just smooth, the customer sees that and going, this was a great project to watch because everyone turned up and all of that kind of stuff.
100%. Can I give you a story and then give me the feedback on it? Is my early jobs, I was a door-to-door salesman, and then I got to run door-to-door sales companies in my early 20s. And as part of the sales training, someone said it to me is, who are your customers? And I'm like, I don't know, people we knock on the door and sell, calculators and dictionaries and that too. And he's like, no, they're not your customers. And I'm like, what? And it's like the customers are your sales staff. They're the people that are coming in every day, because it was all commission only stuff. It sort of doesn't exist anymore, but old school. They would come in, we would give them sales training, merchandise, and then they would go out and sell. And so they're your customers. They're the ones actually buying the merchandise on it. They're the ones selling it. And I was like, oh. And it stuck with me the whole time. It's like, obviously, like in my world, we've got our customers that we're delivering buildings for. But our customers are often actually, if you look at it as the staff, the builders, the concreters, as these guys, is how do we make sure that they're having the best experience? And then if they do, and they're best enabled to it, the natural outcome is great.
100%. So, yeah, I think I've been to meetings my old life in health, and we sat down there. I'll remember a meeting, and we talked about, who's the customer? Is it the GP? Is it the doctor? Is it the health professional, or is it the patient?
Yeah.
And the answer is depends on where you are in that whole supply chain.
Yeah.
So your person that you're handing to is your customer. So make their job easier. Do the best job you can. Don't pass on any half-assed work. Don't pass on errors, and they won't push it back or get grumpy with you, and then you see that whole disengagement happening.
Yeah.
So it depends where you are in that whole value chain.
It does. So it does. But if you can then figure out where you are in the value chain, and then how do you make it the best for your people, then that will massively increase your value. If you're an administrator and your job is to help out this sort of person, but you do a great job, you'll be highly valued as administrator. And then that just leads to better satisfaction, better life.
And it becomes an upward spiral, right? And it's simple, but it's slowing down and thinking about that, and slowing down and going, today, how can I make that experience 0.5% better?
Yeah.
How can I provide this information just a little bit cleaner? And that doesn't have to be internal to your company. So like, your PMs, how can they bring in your suppliers and go, hey, I know you turn around the materials. We do an order, steel comes in, but how could we make that easier for you?
Yeah.
And we don't talk to our suppliers like that. Toyota does. In fact, Toyota sends their guys in to train and going, you've got to actually work this way, because one, you won't be able to keep up. But this is the standard we expect.
Interesting.
But how can we work together? How can we collaborate? And I challenge every company I work with is bring in at least one supplier and go, how can we work differently? And I did that with a manufacturer, fabricator manufacturer, and they brought in they sent their fabricated steel to get painted, come back, but it was always late. It was always poor quality. So we brought them in, put a Subway lunch on, mapped out the process, and went, right, we do this at this point. How can we communicate that this is jobs coming? And he went, oh, if you did this, this, and this. All of a sudden, it unlocked all of that potential.
Yeah.
So for them, the customer was their supplier, not the guy, receiving the end product.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you an example. I think that we picked up on that one is we were dealing with a lot of steel orders, oh, the kit couldn't get to site, the truck couldn't do it, and we would get annoyed. And then I was like, well, why don't we talk to them? How do we improve this? And they were just simply like, if you could just get a photo of it. We'd already had a clause in our contract, you got to have clear access, but who reads it? Is we've got to just supply a photo to it, and then it makes it accountable. And then just by then inserting that in over time into the process of the clients, hey, for the kit delivery, can you please send us a photo of the driveway and the site and where it is? If we can, we'll go out. We ship kit sets nationwide. And then we could pass that on, as then we showed our suppliers, hey, we care, we're trying to help out, this is what we're doing there. As then they did make a much more of an effort to be able to do it. But initially I was just being like, oh, they should just deliver it. The concrete trucks got there, why can't their truck got it? And the truth is, concrete trucks are like all-terrain four-wheel trucks, like they're quite a cool truck. Whereas steel hire delivery trucks are sort of like a classic two-wheel drive, You know, they're designed for roads, sealed surfaces. They're not designed for wet farm paddocks type thing. So yeah, that's cool.
So, but then it's not being reliant on, hey, that was a cool improvement. A photo solved a whole lot of problems. So how can we improve on that next time?
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, now we've got Google Earth, so we can take a whole photo. Okay, that's a cool idea. Oh, we've got drones now. Take a video of the whole journey and send it to them, so it's even better, multiple angles. And it's still only 10, 15 minutes part of the job.
Yeah.
But don't just be satisfied that we've improved it once. How could you make that experience even better?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge I would go.
Yeah, that's true. I'd have to see
Do the drone at the eye level of the truck, so the driver can actually see from his perspective.
Yeah, yeah, and then get them to actually share it with the driver would be great. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, using that social media and the teams, we love it for the WhatsApp group. People are often like, "How do you run so many builds and jobs all the time?" It's like trust, but it's also photos every day, constant photos. We've done this. This is the flashing order. This is the. And it's just like, oh, so much easier. And you're operating in real time. Lots of people on the group, so there's an accountability and they know who they can do. Straight communication instead of one email to one guy. It's just like, in the building world, it's so much easier for a guy or a girl on site to be like, hey, we need this, or this is this, or we've done this. Drop a photo into a WhatsApp group chat, and suddenly everybody knows that the frames are up. Boom, and voice time. You know.
But you use the one word, communication, right? So we come in and we look at systems, we look at process, we look at how things are organized. But the number one issue is always communication. That's where Toolbox comes in. That's where, get your transparent strategy out there. Start talking to your staff. Because if they don't think communication is number one problem, it's always number two.
Yeah.
And if they don't think it's in number two, they're lying.
Yeah.
They're hiding the problem.
Yeah.
One of our personal experiences, like, it's probably about 8 years ago, we had a house and land package, blended families, all was a bit of chaos, coming together under one house. So we got a house and land package. And like, I just sold my townhouse. So my kids were coming to my place for school holidays. Didn't have anywhere to go unless this was done on time. And that company never gave us weekly updates. I had to follow in every week. And a decent sized company. All they needed to do was give to one of the office team going, this is what we've done this week. This is what we're doing, on track. 3 lines. They never done that. I had to follow up. Biggest stress of my life. And I'll never refer that company to anyone. We actually got the house 3 days early. But my experience was just tainted because of that communication. Yeah,
interesting. We've been on both sides of that fence. We were on that other side and it's too easy for us. But we delivered it on time. Everything happened. Why do we need to tell them? And it's like, because it's the biggest investment in their life. It's a huge amount of time and you just want to do it. About 6 months ago, I was just like, we need to improve the communication. If nothing's happening, just tell them. But it's a reassuring. Hey, it's day 6 at council. We had 18 RFIs. We've answered 17 RFIs. We're waiting on one for the engineer. Oh, cool. Not, I just got a random email at the council. I was asked 18 questions and now I'm sitting at night awake wondering, fantasizing about horrific scenarios or something. So, great example. We've got to go back to the start though. Otherwise we'll never get there. We'll just stick into it. So, Rob Bull, born, bred, where did it begin and how did you end up this fountain of business knowledge?
Fountain of business knowledge, always learning. The more you know, the more you realise you don't know. Grew up in West Auckland.
Nice.
So yeah.
West is best.
West is best, yeah. And it's always...
Whereabouts out west?
Eh?
Whereabouts out west?
So Kumeu, Waimauku, Muir. So real west.
Yeah, deep west.
Yeah, deep west. Lots of good memories out there.
Yeah.
Hours on. I could never surf though, which gutted me because I was like 7 k's away from one of the best surfing beaches in the country. All my mates did, so I just used to hang out at the surf club and probably less said that what happened there is better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just grew up there, went to uni.
So you grew up in like, were you growing up rural or?
Yeah, semi-rural. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
nice.
like, yeah, it's probably a K or so. Actually, I remember when we're really young, this is probably showing my age, but our neighbour was a toll call,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and so because we had one of those properties that was cut off from the big farm,
yeah.
and so if there was a problem with the farm, Mum used to send me up the hill, go and tell Tom his sheep are out. She
Yeah,
can't ring him up because it's a toll call.
yeah,
So yeah, I used to have to run up the hill and say, "Hey Tom, come down, your sheep are out." So yeah, so pretty, you know. But it was a good time. It was a
yeah,
good time.
yeah. It's cool. Yeah, toll calls are a funny thing, eh? No matter what that's an extractive industry. I think you posted on somewhere, or maybe I listened on one of the podcasts, is how I find this so draining. Is my drive between Eureka and Kaihiri, I have worse reception in 2026 than I believe I was driving around when you were allowed to just talk on your phone. Obviously, I have a car Bluetooth thing now. Is I can't even make a phone call anymore. I certainly couldn't make a business call anymore. It used to drop out once or twice on my drive home, 40 minutes. It's now pretty much drops out constantly. And
Yeah.
it's just like, they've just been extracting so much money, you know, like they had all their network. And yeah, that toll call for anybody, I don't know, younger than 40 maybe, I'm not sure what age it would be, is it just, they divided the whole country into these tiny little suburbs. And if you were in, where I grew up, Devonport, I think if you wanted to, maybe Belmont was the line and then Takapuna, is you could call anyone within Devonport and it was probably free. You just paid your line rental each month. But if you had to go over into Belmont or Takapuna, or you know, someone was, you know,
Don't think you
Concussion,
brown spray.
yeah,
Or, you know,
it was like 20 cents a minute or something. It was ridiculous. It was like calling overseas. It was, yeah, like a toll road. It was a toll call. Cool. Grew up west. Uni, what, Auckland Uni?
AUT.
AUT, nice.
Yeah. I think
Auckland,
it's still
yeah, Auckland Uni.
AUT, ATI. It's had many names.
What did you study?
Occupational therapy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was either that or physio.
Mhm.
I remember I sat down to do my application and realised the physio one was too late. I'd already gone past the due date.
Yeah.
So signed up 3 years and jumped
Nice.
out as a therapist.
And so occupational therapy, is that more on the rehabilitation side?
Yeah. So my clinical specialty I really got into was around head injuries, stroke rehab, concussion clinics, and all that kind
Interesting.
of stuff. So yeah, it was fun. It was interesting.
And so when you were doing that, was concussion as big a deal as it's now, as people are realizing the sort of effects of CTE and that?
Yeah, it was just like I was part of one of the first concussion clinics, and the research was there, but it was still the hidden, what they call the hidden pandemic, or epidemic, and it wasn't truly understood. And you know, you used to see guys going back to work and they'd be sleepy and tired, and this boss would fire them because you know, I caught him sleeping in behind, you know, in the lunchroom or whatever. Yeah, because he was in a car accident, but he was okay. Sore neck, but you know, but it's that whole shaking of the brain and all that kind of stuff that doesn't. So you know, physically you looked fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, there was definitely the building of that evidence up and the appreciation and the evidence. But yeah, I think certainly sports helped that.
Is there anything, and I might not be the right word, but is there anything easy or a few simple things that you could say? Because I see, you know, I've had lots of concussions from sports over the years, and I love rugby league, boxing, UFC. So I'm not going to say let's stop all the cool stuff because of concussion, but it is also tough when guys I know and I like, and you can see it. But then you also just get car accidents. I concussed myself so badly I had to go to hospital last year when I just stood up too quickly in the woodshed and smacked my head into it. And it was that. I was like, oh, dazed, confused, had to take a knee, got up, kept doing it, came back to work the next day. I was like, I can't see my screens properly. I'm like really out of it. I chat GPT'd it. I was like, this is my symptoms. It was like, take yourself to hospital. And I was actually worried because I was like, I better actually do it. What if I've got an internal brain bleed? Or what
Yep.
if I've done something?
Yep.
I could suffer through a lot. And they saw me straight away and they're like, no, you got serious concussion and that, take some time off and that, but you don't, you haven't got a brain bleed or something or nothing too. And I, took a bit of time and came right, but it was tough, man. I had to have like the week off work and I love working. I just accepted that now. People are like, oh, but I love working. So I was like, I just can't stare at screens.
Yeah.
Man, talk about discipline. You're like, oh, no more phone, no YouTube, no emails. I was like,
take my life away.
Yeah. Just sitting there. But from an occupational therapist point of view, what could people do to keep the brain healthy? Either if you've had them, you get one, what could do?
Yeah. Even back in those days, and this is showing my age, is rest. Your brain has got energy, and certainly these days, multiple screens, driving, excessively tired from our cognitive energy. So it is about, if you're going to go somewhere more than half an hour, make sure you've got a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
Sit in the car, turn the radio off, because even audio noise uses up energy. So just have those micro breaks.
Yeah.
And this is probably why I'm really good at my partner. She can't understand how I can do these power naps. And I'll just be 10 minutes, I'll crash out. But then I'm back in the energy. But yeah, don't go home. No, go home. But don't go home and just watch screen and on your phone, because then you've got multiple cognitive inputs going in. Turn everything off. Go and pretend to read a book out on the back deck.
Yeah.
But just chill out. So just, again, and it's probably similar techniques that I use today with businesses, right? Just slow down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything takes up all of that energy. So just be aware of all the inputs you're getting. But if you are doing a high input activity like driving, because now we've got radios on, so you've got high stimuli coming at all directions. Just even if you go into a client's place, don't pull up there and just pull up around the corner, chill out for 5 to 10 minutes, and then go in there, just recharge those energy. Because if you have had a lot of concussions, your battery will deplete quicker than a more healthy brain. So just things like that.
Yeah, interesting. I think even it's a good answer, but that's it. If you've had it, people that have had it, and I've so many stories of that, of people in crazy car accidents or something, and the whiplash and that, but they can sort of, thanks to airbags, safety belts, and that sort of thing, it's just give yourself a break. But and this is that discipline, but that break can't be, you could say doom scrolling, but I quite enjoy the dopamine hit of scrolling. So anyway, you might be positive scrolling, but you can't scroll. You can't just watch TV. I think you've got to actually take that time and just relax.
Yeah. And it's really hard. I mean, I've set my personal goal this year of limiting screen time. Man, it's hard.
100%.
So I measure it every day. I've got the tool on the phone and set myself a goal, and it seems like an excessive amount of time, but I was at 3.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
I can't go over. And so far, I've hit that target every day.
Nice.
And even last night, because I constantly check how much time have I got. I've got an hour left. I've got heaps of scroll. So and occasionally I've pushed it to I've got 5 minutes. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
But even last night, that I was tempted to pick it up, but I knew I only had 30 minutes left of my peak. So that was my discipline. Is I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to Kate instead. Heaven forbid,
Yeah.
And the other goal I've got is I want to read a book every fortnight. So with less screen time, I've got time to do that. So it all balances out.
Yeah, 100%. It goes back to, I think for myself and others, is use it as a challenge. Just go, hey, I want to do, I've only got this time. Like flip the script on it and say, hey, no, you're only allowed this much. What are you going to do? And then, because that's it. It's, mine might be less, but I did the same as, Yeah, but yeah, people have 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. Wherever you're at, it's going, okay, I want to get it down to 6, or I want to get it down to 1 hour,
Yeah.
It depends. You might have to do work stuff on it, but it is go, okay, how do I do it? And then how do I set a goal for it? That's cool. So, occupational therapist.
Yep.
Anything? What are the learnings from doing a job like that?
Listening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of patient work and listening.
Yeah.
And then moving into team leadership and listening to staff.
Can I just ask, what was the difference that you would see between patients that would get better and get back to work? Try and sort of take two people with a similar accident or something that's happened. What was the difference between the people that could get their lives back and the ones that couldn't? And what could you recommend?
Yeah, there's just so many variables because a whack to the head or a stroke is not just a stroke. It's just so many variables. Certainly community.
Yeah.
That sort of the family, the connect, support.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people still might have to have assisted supportive living, but the fact that they had that quality of life with all of the extra support and all that kind of stuff. So it might not even been family. Because we often had family coming into the rehab ward that had to travel because we don't live in the same cities or even the same countries all the time. So if mum and dad had a stroke and they're sitting on the ward for a couple of weeks, you'd see the families coming in from UK, but they'd work hard to make sure that support network was built and in situ, ready to go home. But so many variables. It was sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So tough.
Yeah, tough. Cool. So then, team leader. So were you working in the private sector or were you working in public health?
Public health for about 20 odd years. So and just worked way up. Team leader into management, and then in the corporate side of DHBs in the end. Which gave a huge different perspective, both from clinical peers that were still in the trenches, but also the community. Like I was in the funding team in Hawke's Bay, and so we'd have to make funding decisions, which really gets me frustrated when people, really good purpose, but they go, their family member might have had a certain cancer and this drug would help, and the government must fund it. I went, sure.
Yeah.
But over here, you have to tell that person we're no longer getting their drugs because we can't afford everything. And I've been in meetings that we've had to decide one or the other.
Yeah.
And those are tough ethics. And that goes on even down Wellington. They're tough decisions. And that whole experience made me appreciate, sort of work on information. But you're not always going to get it right. You're not always going to keep people happy. And you can't have everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough one for New Zealand and a tough one for people to grasp that it's we're not as rich as a country. No, we're not nearly as rich as people often think that we are, and you can just pretty much spend endless money on health, which would be nice, but
and we don't have the resources even Australia have, and but that's people forget. We can spend another 500,000 or 2 million or 10 million on that, but it's got to come somewhere. And when you've got budgets that are always blown out, where do you find that? And that's the part that it's really hard. It's like, I guess, in a weird way, it's like roadworks, right? We grumble about roadworks, but we also grumble about potholes.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
you can't have one and the other.
Oh right? Yeah, Kiwi's a classic. It's we spend all winter complaining about the cold and the wet, and then within 2 days of summer turning up, bit hot, mate. Like, oh, wouldn't mind if it was a little bit cooler. Like, we're shockers. All right, and so I'd just be a bit curious. I don't want to get too into the weeds with it, but within the healthcare system, it's always sort of pitched that there's all this waste, or where does the money go? Because it's billions and billions of dollars. And I've 100% a fan of New Zealand health system. People bag it, but I've only actually had good experiences. Like I've had to, my wife, children, myself, take the concussion thing. I'm banged up. I'm like, what do I do? I go to the Thames emergency ward, pleasant people there. Hey, fill in the form. Fill in the form, sit there, wait an hour, I don't know. And then they come and see you. Nice people look after it. They look after the kids, car accidents, ambulances turn up. They all try so hard. So I just want to caveat that I've only ever had good experiences with nurses, doctors, and that, can the doctors sometimes be a bit cold and look at you like you're just a random number or a meat sack? Yeah, for sure. The nurses always seem much more compassionate. Yeah, they do.
But some nurses that are way not compassionate.
And then there's some that just poke you, whatever. It's cool. They all have the different days, but what they have to deal with in split shifts or night shifts. Anyway, but then you also get people that are just endlessly like, they're all spending too much money. It's, but what did you see on the inside of it?
Oh, look, it's not a cheap business to run.
No.
Right? You've got high technical equipment, an MRI, multi-million dollars.
Yeah.
And then the daily upkeep of that, and all of that kind of stuff. And we want our good health professionals.
Yeah.
So, like I just told you, just as we're preparing, like my daughter's just come out of qualified physio and she's got a new job. And so when she was negotiating a first job, she was going, what should I expect? And I said, tell me what you're offering. And I fell off my chair. I mean, my God, that, as a new grad, that's what our senior therapists were on back in my day.
Yeah.
But good on them.
Yeah, nice.
Because, we want to pay. So, as you, I think, mentioned, your biggest cost is your salary.
Yeah.
Same in healthcare. But, a surgeon doesn't come cheap.
No.
And you don't want the cheap surgeon.
No.
Right? And you don't want the cheap social worker. You've got to invest in that. So, and the equipment, and there's a lot that runs a health system. You've got the vehicles. There are more vehicles running around in the health system on the roads than you will appreciate.
What would they be doing?
You've got all the community workers. So you've got district nurse, community physio, social workers, mental health workers, all of that. Always, there'd be hundreds of cars, even just in the Waikato, running around doing all of that kind of stuff. Home visits, all of that kind of stuff. So even when I was a inpatient therapist on the ward, I'd do 2 home visits a week.
Yeah.
To go and assess the house and work with families, even take a patient over there just to make. So all of that's happening. So it's
and that's all cost.
It's all cost, and buildings. Don't you know the building costs? You could imagine.
Oh yeah.
How many sheds are on the campus of Waikato Hospital?
Yeah.
And that's just the shed costs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, or just the the built infrastructure of hospitals and just what you've got to fit into those rooms and that.
Yeah. And we haven't touched pharmacy, pharmaceuticals, consumables, all of those, just down to your bandages and all that. You buy a first aid kit for home at $150 and you go, oh, that's steep.
Yeah.
That's just a small cupboard in one
little
half of a ward. Right.
Yeah. So do you think there is a level of waste in it, or it's just run fairly well and it's just an endless sort of thing? Because we can all be
waste.
Okay.
But I say that from a lean perspective, and I'll say even in your business, there's probably 20%, 30% waste if we got really brutal about it. And in the New Zealand health system, as good as it is, there's always waste. You talked about sitting down and waiting for an hour. We worked. One of my first sort of jobs with lean thinking was working in primary care, so GPs. So
Yeah.
how could we get that waiting from us? And we got that down to like 10 minutes. So didn't have to wait any longer than 10 minutes. But you go into a 15-minute appointment with your GP, and he or she would take all your personal. I say, how you going? Oh, is this all right? That's waste. You're not getting your highest paid person to take and update your personal details.
Yeah.
Let's get an assistant to do that before they're even in the room. So that's one way of eliminating waste.
Yeah.
You're coming in to get your sutures taken out. So why take a GP out to actually see a complex patient? Let's get a trained assistant or a nurse or someone else, so we align the complexity with the skill sets and not the title. So even that is eliminating waste.
Yeah.
So getting the right people to work with, but on the flip side, everyone wants to see their doctor.
Yes.
So they don't, so there's a lot of communication around the community that needs to go, hey, you might turn up to your GP, but you will see the nurse.
Yeah.
But they've probably got just as good a knowledge as the GP, because, they're 20 years experience and phenomenal good and all of that kind of stuff. But the patient's perspective is, I didn't see my doctor. So we need to get that right.
Yeah.
But once we're getting that right, I think we can, utilize our expertise, our people better.
Yeah, so there's almost a little bit of a marketing issue or something, isn't it? It needs to be, hey, look. Yeah. Surely a nurse with 20 years experience is going to be.
Well, these days, and they're a lot more prevalent, but you've got nurse practitioners who are almost, post-grad, masters, almost PhD level trained.
Yeah.
And I would probably go with them and their knowledge more than sometimes the GP. But that's because I've got that background knowledge and I appreciate it. But the common community member, we do need to market and sort of.
Yeah, just how skilled someone can be. I think there's it's an interesting one. I think that is, people can judge. It's so highly dependent on what you might have chosen to study or had the privilege to be able to study in your late teens, early 20s. And then people will say, hey, well, that's it, you're a doctor or you're a surgeon or something. You must surely know so much more than somebody else. I mean, you go back to what we were talking about earlier in the business and people, well, the manager of the company must know so much more than the guy that's been on the shop floor. I deal with this and I go there, let's do it. Engineers versus the builders is a graduate engineer always assumes that they know so much more about designing and building a retaining wall, having never actually built a retaining wall or built a shed, than the guy that's been doing it for 30 years in the same area. And it's like, hey man, no, this is what works. Yeah, have you thought about this? This is what works. So we've done this. And you got to respect, hey, one of the guys does really know the maths and does the design and has been conservative and has done all that. But you also want to respect, hey, this person's actually been building them, they've seen it and done it, and try and bring both worlds into it and think, hey, where are we got? Where's the crossover? Let's take on the ideas from the shop floor or the building site. But let's also respect that and not throw away the study and the theoretical. So then how did the career in house pivot to lean? Like, when did this come across?
So it was in house. I always played around with that quality journey. I always interested in quality. Did my postgrad in management and sort of specialized or sort of did a lot of my reading around quality and service quality and all of that. Then I was asked to do this little project around this lean thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I sort of picked it up and just started applying. And like every good lean practitioner, it's all street knowledge. And just went from there and just grew it, and I still look back on some of those real initial days. I mean, actually, for the level of experience I had, it was some pretty cool stuff. But the more I got into it, then I just realized, going back to my clinical days and even quality sort of management days, that lean was kind of the framework that everything hung into.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, this is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just books and YouTubes and reading and experiments and yeah.
Is lean an acronym, or is lean just the name of a sort of way of looking at it?
It's a name.
Okay.
Is it the best name? A lot of lean, well, yeah, out in the lean community, it's always a 50-50. Is it a great name? No.
Yeah.
It was coined by a couple of American academics, researchers who went over to Japan in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and it was literally to lean out the waste.
Yeah.
And that's how the term came through.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it's kind of stuck.
And I suppose even from a just caricature point of view, as they were probably looking at 1980s America, big bloated manufacturing, and almost probably looked at a big bloated workers, or just go, American worker versus a Japanese worker, and you probably go, well, they're pretty lean.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, how are they suddenly taking over the car industry that, all of...
And that's why they went to Toyota going, why are these guys crushing it?
Yeah.
And when you go back into the story, Toyota wanted to do what Ford were doing and wanted to do mass production.
Yeah.
But they couldn't because post-World War II, they didn't have the sheds.
Yeah.
They didn't have the workforce, or they literally didn't have a market to sell to.
Mm-hmm.
Their first big order was the US Army.
Yeah.
So they had to think creatively around solving their problems.
Mm.
And so that was 1940s. You stretch out to the 80s, so 40, 50 years later, and they'll still go, we're still trying to solve our problems.
Mm.
And they just keep building on that. And now, what if they got more cash on hand than all the other car producers put together?
Yeah.
And they're going, we're still learning.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still going for it. It's very cool. Yeah, they've managed to maintain that edge the entire time, the Japanese car industry, isn't it?
And not just it. Toyota. Like Toyota still outperforms all the other Japanese car manufacturers. So it's a mindset. It's just how, like I read one of the books about how they, Toyota culture.
Mm-hmm.
And, there were chapters just on recruitment and onboarding.
Mm.
That's how they go to nth degree. Everything you do, down to screwing the nut on, has a standard and has a purpose. Mm. And it's got to be quality every step. So some might call it a little bit fanatic, but pays off, right?
Yeah, it does. And if you're going to run an organization like a truly international organization and then deliver the quality that Toyota deliver, it's well, that's their fanaticism has obviously paid off. I mean, that's
so it goes back to that discipline, right? Yeah. And discipline isn't big whips and big brother looking after it. It's discipline of turning up and doing the right thing every time.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it once, doing it really, really well.
Yeah.
And it's simple concept.
Yeah.
But really hard to keep going.
Yeah, that's it. And people probably like lean, the word discipline, people can often have a negative connotation because they think discipline and they think, I don't know, getting told off or, corporal punishment type discipline or something rather than, no, I say, discipline is just following your own orders. Actually, I was listening to a great podcast. I listened to this dude Jock, and it's like everyone's so good at telling everybody else what to do, but will you listen to what you tell yourself? And that starts from getting up in the morning. And it's if you say you're going to get up at 6 a.m., will you get up at 6 a.m. or will you hit the snooze? Will you do it? And if you can't follow your own orders, why would you expect anybody else to follow your orders or advice? And I think I try to apply that to myself all the time. It's why would anybody else listen to if I won't listen to myself, why should anybody else listen to me? Which can be confronting for a lot of people because a lot of people.
And it's just some seemingly simple actions, right? You go to a meeting, and who have gone to a meeting and everyone's either 2 or 3 minutes late?
Yeah.
Not discipline. That's not cool. Turn up to a meeting. But then you turn up to the meeting and someone's shuffling through and go, I'm just reading up the notes.
Yeah.
No, that's not respect.
Mm.
you make sure you turn up in time and prepared.
Yeah.
That's discipline.
Mm.
Because otherwise, that's a waste.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go 15, 20 minutes into an hour meeting, because we do hours, because Microsoft Office gives us a standard of half an hour breaks, and so all of our jobs, because we never go on back end and change it to 15 or 10-minute increments.
No.
So all our meetings are half an hour or an hour, all waste.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I cut out one team once 50% of their meetings, because we mapped them all out and said, which one has an agenda? Oh, that one does. Right, scrape it. And yeah, we culled half their meetings, and they had so much more time.
And so you left the healthcare system to start consulting?
Yeah. Cold turkey.
Yeah.
I was made redundant, and so it was like, do I try and get a job somewhere?
What year is this? Give us a rough place point for.
What are we, 2015, 2016?
Okay, cool.
You know, and have all of this experience.
Yeah.
Still in the health sector.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the big wide, I was still in the public health sector.
Yeah.
Never experienced the big wide wild of just usual business.
Yeah.
And went, no, I quite like doing that. I'm surely I can get some work. How hard is that? It's quite hard.
Yeah.
Retrospectively, it was crazy. But, you pick up one client and you just talk to another, and you just realize that places like the Chamber of Commerce are not stuffy old gentlemen in an old office. They're actually quite active and useful. And as long as you participate, as put in as much as you take out, you get a lot of good out of that. So places like that really helped me through those early days, and just networking.
Were you Waikato based then, or were you still Hawke's Bay?
No, so I was always so I was always in Hamilton at that stage. So I've always based out of Hamilton.
Yeah, cool.
So I just went to the opening of every networking door that you can squeeze your life on, and then find this thing called LinkedIn and just start trawling people and adding a few comments here and there, and just got to meet people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, interesting. And so what would you say is the keys to maybe success that might be too strong, but in terms of networking and building, because it is a pretty full-on move to go from the, I don't know how I'd describe it, but anyway, the enclosed confines of the public health, public service, public sector to the, I wouldn't call it the Wild West, but it's certainly a completely different world of private businesses.
Just, there's a whole world out there that you didn't realize. I mean, maybe I was a little bit more naive than most, but yeah, I think it's just getting out there, and there are genuine people that want to see you succeed. So find those people, talk to them, and make connections. Like I've got so many connections on LinkedIn, but even yourself, like we made a connection, and let's catch up. Let's start talking to people in real life.
Yeah.
So just try and make that goal of, right, even when you don't have anything on today, how can I go out to a cafe, coffee shop, start to find out which ones are the real popular ones. So even in Hamilton, like I could tell you 3 or 4 are the ones to go to bump into people.
Give it to. What are the top 3?
We've out at Innovation Park.
Yep.
Always, you've got so many people out there that just are great to bump into. I would Plus 91 at top end of town there. Always good. Demiurgos just down the road on Victoria Street. Just a small one. Where else would I possibly go?
Let's stick with those.
Frank, that was opposite where the old Founders was, that little cafe there. That's always got a couple of people dropping in. Yeah,
cool. Yes, and just being out and about, that's for the business community. Hamilton and Gemba. Yeah, excellent. And okay, and then what are the what are some of the most interesting businesses? Let's go both,
Mm.
let's go, and we can just jump in between the most interesting businesses that you go and like, you open up the roller door and go, whoa, what have I seen here? And you can shout them out if you want to shout them out. It's cool. Don't shout out, but tell us the stories of the craziest and the dumbest stuff that you've seen going on in the businesses. Yeah, I'm
There's a
keen
lot
to
of that.
see, like, what have you seen? Because I genuinely love it. There's so many cool things happening in New Zealand, and there's
Mm.
so many businesses doing cool things. And if you're just prepared to be a bit more curious,
Yep.
yeah, what have you seen?
Yeah. I'll probably even share stories of what I've seen that I haven't worked with, and I'd love to work with them.
Yeah.
But like a couple of clients, we've got Velo Bike that are down in Cambridge.
Yeah.
Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them, but tell me that
Right.
that's all.
So they make a design. They get the manufacturing's done over up in Asia, but they manufacture, bring it back to New Zealand, and ship it out. All the cycle components for racing track cycles.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And go, no, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
About 17 bikes in the last Olympics across all the different countries had some of the componentry on.
Really?
Yeah. I went there one day and they go, oh, here's our new intern. I went, oh, you look familiar. Oh, yeah, she won the gold medal at the last Olympic. That's probably why I know.
Mm-hmm.
But they're world leading. They've just made the new racing frame.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things going on there. I don't know if it's too public, but world-class componentry for cycle bike.
And so are they like designing that on computers and
Design, engineered,
yeah,
all of that. They do the wind test. They go up to Auckland at Auckland University, get it wind tunnel tested for the handlebars, all of that kind of stuff. The big frame, everything's done. High level, world class. And it literally is behind a roller door.
Yeah.
And you just go, this is world class, And they're talking about these ones, these components are gold plated because it's 0.0001% less friction. And that's what the cyclists want.
Okay.
So I'm going, okay. But they go, you could buy this one. It's the same, but just doesn't have gold,
Yeah.
It'll be harder for you to pedal. I'm going, you don't want to get me on the bike.
Yeah.
So you've got that. Then you've got...
And how long have they been around in, roughly?
I'd say 4, 5... No, it's got to be 5, 6 years now.
Okay.
Just slowly grow, because they were part of the last Olympics and all of that kind of stuff. So, and then you learn that they work on a 4-yearly Olympic cycle, but a year ahead of the actual Olympics.
Wow.
Because the rules, this is what you learn in these cool jobs, right? Because the rules are set 1 year out from the Olympics.
Oh.
And so all the products have got to be available
Yeah.
a year out. So they're always guessing what the rule changes are going to do and redesign everything and to all the tolerances.
So they've got to sort of guess the rules, design the best possible product to it, and I suppose then it's approved, and then any team that wants to can buy it, or will they go exclusive with that?
Well,
GB?
they're trying to.
Yeah.
They're trying to, right? That's the goal, is how many of the nations will pick up their products.
Yeah.
But a lot of the top riders will go, right, we want the handlebars or the pedal or this or that. So awesome stuff. And again, just a small team crashing it out in Cambridge. So you've got that. Where else? Oh, just up the road by the airport, we're working with a tea manufacturer. And
tea,
drinking tea.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, in Waikato, we've got Zeelong, which is great, but they're doing all the mass, Earl Greys and all that.
Yeah.
These guys are doing it from a therapeutic point of view. So all of the, your calm teas, but from New Zealand natives.
Yeah.
So they've had to sort of...
Can we shout out the business?
Oku, OKU.
Okay.
Wonderful team.
Yeah.
Again, tiny. There's about 5 of them that do it. But the cool story around that one is that they're using New Zealand natives. So they're going back to the old Māori ways. So really deep into Māori organisation. But they had to create their supply chain.
Yeah.
Because they had to drive around the East Cape and go to the landowners and go, you've got plants on your property that we want. and this is how you farm it. This is the value of it. Don't put it into forestry.
Yeah.
And so they've had to train and cultivate literally the plants and their supply chain.
Wicked.
Yeah, so they're still growing and still relatively small, but man, and most of it's exported.
And so where would they get the funding to start that? And, because that's the sort of stuff I think people can think about, talk about, but I mean, the cost structure to be able to grow and do that, like driving around the East Cape's not, even that in itself is a cost.
Yeah. Oh, look, a lot of these teams, they bootstrap it, right?
Yeah.
But there is really cool support around you. You've got the NZTE because, let's invest in your company because then you can grow, expand, and all of that kind of stuff. So there's support, particularly for your exporters. Internally, you've got there are pockets of money, or other places, they go out and get investors.
Yeah.
Sell off product, 20% for X amount. Let's go.
Oku, so yeah, indigenous natural tea, that's very cool.
And it's cool, so we have their products turning up on our doorstep because we do love to utilize, maybe not the track cyclists. I'd be way undercooked for that, but let's use and support and promote some of our clients because they do cool stuff.
Yeah, that's working. I wanted to throw it in there. You were at a conference. You've heard it talk. Have we got a way to pronounce? He's a doctor, Māori doctor, that he's working on fusion technology in Wellington.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Jack, the producer.
Ratu Mataria. It's R-A-T-U then M-A-T-A-Y-R-A.
Ratu Mataria. I try my best. Open Star Technology.
Yeah.
Let's maybe we'll eat it. So Dr. Ratu Mataria, Open Star Technology. I saw this first on the NBR. I was like, what? Māori nuclear fusion technology. I think I had to read the article twice to be like, is it April 1st? And that's nothing against Māori. This was actually New Zealand. Like, not only is it Hutt Valley, we're working on nuclear technology in New Zealand. And then I just saw maybe in the last couple of days, the government's backed them even more, $35 million loan to keep the technology in New Zealand. Yeah.
So I heard him speak at a conference last year.
Yeah.
And my response was the same as yours, was like, am I actually hearing what I'm hearing? Yeah. This guy's doing a project on fusion energy. Mm-hmm. So like I'm looking around for all the sort of cameras of we've got you, this is. But he's also working on a project that MIT couldn't crack.
Yeah.
So he thought, I'll take their research and run with it. And they've got some, in an hour's presentation, you start learning about all fusion energy. So at the moment, it's more energy in to produce out, but they're not far. So it's a 35 mil. If he cracked that, that's a pretty good investment because...
So the concept of, or maybe you can explain it to me. So actually maybe give it, because I don't actually really know anything about this sort of stuff, is how does fusion technology work? Or, like just the rough, so is it they're splitting the atom type thing, but if they can do that,
Yeah, I think it's way above both of our pay grades, right?
Yeah.
But they're playing around with all of that sort of molecular style, and then they put energy in to speed it all up to get more energy out. So, and then it becomes just self-fulfilling sort of endless supply of energy. So the method, or I guess the outcome is they want to balance that equation to more energy out than more energy in.
Yeah.
And then it's just
energy abundance.
And the energy and abundance, absolutely. So, they're just quietly smashing it.
Yeah.
Valley. And this is the cool stuff. That when you're in jobs that, certainly I'm privileged to go into companies that are either world leading or leading in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And even with the doom and gloom that's going around, there are still people, even in everyday businesses or sectors, that are still smashing it because they go back to that solid base of we've got a good product, we've got a good system, but we want to improve.
Mm.
So I have a lot of people talking to me and going, oh, so what's your feeling on the economy? I said, don't ask me.
Yeah.
Because everyone around me is loving it, because even if it's tough, they go, this is when we need to drill down and get better.
Yeah.
Because you can't get better when everything's busy.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So let's overinvest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the secret sauce that some of these top businesses are doing. Okay. Like I've got one client going, yeah, we're slow at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why I have to pay you to be here, because we've got time to do the big stuff even. So when it does get busier, we're 20-30% above the competition.
Yeah.
And they don't have time to catch up, or the ability, or the knowledge, or the willingness.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, being able to, I hear that and I just think, what a great way of reframing a situation. Rather than reframing, it's like, oh no, everything's going wrong, blah, blah, hunker down, spend less,
Yeah.
probably consume more doom scrolling and negative thing, blame the government. It's like, hey, what can I do to improve myself? I was very blessed as Brian, the founder of Waikato Sheds, is always on me. In the last boom cycle, he's like, it's going to end. It's going to end. It always ends. I've been through the 80s crash, deregulation, early 90s crash, 08, GFC. He's like, good times. It'll be over. And he was saying that as the good times were already ending and no one was realizing it. And our answer was to put all our effort into building this building, but doing the marketing when we didn't need to do the marketing. And then we had our huge it's even bigger now, but we had the marketing channel that no one else had put any time or effort into, because you can sell or build them quick enough.
And that's why I get a look. There is probably some unfortunate stories in
100%.
different sectors and all of that, but it's quite a well-known economic understanding is, when you go into an economic downturn and all those cliches that get used out, some businesses will fail and fall over, because it's just natural cycle of life. If you haven't organized yourself to be at least maintain and go into status quo mode, and you fall behind, well, that's on you. And that sounds tough, but that's my true belief. And I'll probably lose a lot of followers on LinkedIn by saying it, but it's reality. And it does clean out some of poor operators.
Yeah.
And
100%. It's like, I'm competitive. I have empathy for people. I would want everyone to have a good life and succeed. But in the competitive world of business, is you've got to have it rising to the top. And if your business is failing, you've got to look at yourself.
Yeah.
It's always a leadership issue. It's like communication, sure.
Yeah.
But number one, it's almost always a leadership issue. It's like, hey, what are we doing? And maybe it's the right thing. I've bumped around different things. It's like, well, one door closes, another door opens. So that's it. Some people just want it, or they just want everything to stay the same. And it's one of those things. The only thing we can guarantee is change.
Yep.
Volatility and change is just here, and it just changes more and more. So, just get used to it. It's
and it is like one of the coolest companies I've visited. I never worked for this, and it's AGP down on off the expressway, Waikato Expressway in Cambridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Massive shed.
Yeah, massive shed. Yeah,
you would have
shed
liked
dreams,
that. That would have been a good contract for you guys.
Yeah. That's well beyond our scope, but I still look at it, and I love looking at those ones. That's it. Dreams.
Yeah. They're world class in there.
Yeah.
And you talk to the owner and the director, and I've got to know him reasonably well over the last couple of years. And he calls it doing the boringly simple things extremely well. He's still there on a Monday morning looking at the mistakes that they've done, and he'll send a team away to go and do a root cause analysis and assess that and why, and put that straight back into process.
Yeah.
Right. They deal with glass. So they, real simple. They glue 2 pieces of glass, make it double glazing, glue it. That's as simple as it gets. They've got a rework rate of 0.4%.
Damn. That's like...
They play with glass. Famously breaks.
Yeah.
You drop it, you start again. 0.4%. Their DIFOTA, so delivery in full on time, so is in the 99 point something percent. Because he is repetitive at doing the simple things extremely well. And you go into the factory, 70% of it's automated, but it's still clean. It's a Formula One-esque place to go, because their standards are set high. So you go to the other end of the spectrum into an engineering workshop that's just greasy, messy. The benches have just got scrambled tools and all that. And their delivery to the customers might be 40-50% if they're lucky.
Yeah.
Because they haven't set those daily standards. It's not exciting. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
But it works.
But it's part of life. And yeah, it's what it is. It's start, clean the factory, clear up the old stuff, get the skip bins in, get rid of the rubbish, make it, what do we got, what are we dealing with, where are the tools? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Others, I'm loving it. Got more success, or throw me some dumb ones, give me some fun ones. Yeah, actually, it was fun. I'll just put it in there because it's a long form podcast. We were having a chat yesterday, in preparation for it. It was like, well, what sort of stories are we going? I've actually really already enjoyed it. There's been lots of these cool ones coming up. So,
look, people do dumb stuff, and mainly it is around they haven't let their team take ownership and solve problems. Like I once went up to a factory in Auckland, and same toolbox. This is North Auckland. I won't say too much, otherwise company you could probably work it out. But go north of Auckland, get to a toolbox at 7:15. So the owner goes, "Oh, we'll move it for you." I said, "No, that's your usual standard. I'll be there."
Yeah.
So I'm there at 7:15. From Hamilton. That's good effort. One of the team members turns up and goes, "Oh, sorry guys, traffic was late." And I just looked at him. He goes, "Yeah, sorry." He knew he was down. But in the same meeting, the guys pulled up this drill, highly specialized drill, but for jobs that they're doing. I mean, it's probably broken since Wednesday, so we're waiting for today to get permission to. And it's like, what? It's a $500, $600. Go down and buy one.
Yeah.
So just sitting on dumb stuff. Like, I was another company I was talking to the GM on the factory floor, and their most senior fabricator came up and went, "These screws don't fit, but these do.
Yeah.
What should I do?" And we were just looking at each other going, "You've just walked 20 meters to interrupt us in our conversation, to have this conversation." What?
But what, I just want to ask it, do you think that they just had lost so much confidence that even though the answer is obviously screw in the ones that fit, or
really,
give me a bit one of that, because I've been in these sort of
situations. Yeah, I've got a theory about this, because certainly in blue collar workers, right? I was having a conversation with a client earlier this week. Is a lot of these team members, they turn up and they get told what to do, and they do an amazing job. They do it.
Yeah.
And I've gone through their whole career doing these jobs. And so they get told what to do and do it. It's worked well for them for 20, 30 years in some cases. And then all of a sudden we come in and we go, "What can you do?"
Yeah.
And that mind shift of all of a sudden I've been asked, "How can you make this better?" After being basically trained just to work on orders.
Yeah.
So we just need to, and like I had one owner, diligently every morning walked around his team and go, "Okay, what's one improvement you can do?"
Yeah.
And again, I said, it's the wrong question, because they're just looking at you going, "You've told me what to do for 20 years and now you want me to come up with something? This will take a while."
Yeah.
So the better question is, what's slowing you down today?
Yeah.
And then I'll talk about that and go, "Okay, should we solve that together?"
Yeah, so let me just repeat that to get it clarity. So instead of asking what can we improve, which is quite a challenging question and can set it up, and I've spoken to my team, it's like a lot of the guys that we work with, and I love shed builders and concreters, but they didn't enjoy school. I talk to them. Most of them are like, got out at 13, 14, 15, didn't like school, went there to eat lunch, hang with my mates. That doesn't mean that they're not smart. Most of them are actually quite intelligent, but they didn't like school. What did they not like? They didn't like a teacher asking them a question and they didn't know the answer. So that can often trigger 30 years later, like, hey man, I don't want to get called out on this. So reframing that, what's slowing you down? Well, actually, that's slowing me down. You know, that, is reframing a question. What's slowing down? What's the handbrake? You know, what are we whinging about? So
what's pissing you off today? Fix what pisses you off.
Fix. One of the things I've just tried to point out to my guys is some people are blessed with better eyesight than others. Like, I need glasses to see screens, read books, and everything. Now, and I've seen most Kiwi blokes, as they get older, if you're in an office work, you'll accept and generally get glasses, but on site they won't wear them or they will avoid them. And so everything in the building industry is these big A3 sheets, but sometimes down to an A4, and the writing is tiny.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there's important stuff on it, let's get the big highlighter out. Let's highlight it. Let's try and make it bigger. On our contracts, we generally deal with older people, you know, just 40 plus, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70 that are buying sheds for the farms. I'm like, let's put really nice big fonts on there so that I can read it without my glasses. They can read it without the glasses. I've had people say, hey, we signed up with you because I got three different quotes. You know, this is going back a few years, but 3 different quotes. Yours was the only one that I could even read what it was on there. The rest of it's, the writing's too small.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are they hiding? Or I just don't even know what I'm reading here. So. But reframing that question. So that's a cool one. So so the screws. So
just silly things like I think it was last year. What crazy? We went and visited another factory. With a client because it was a similar sector, and we were walking around the factory and a big folding machine.
Yeah.
Right. And the guys took us through the process. They go, oh, we just got to get a stick or just sometimes our hands just because the steel is misaligned. And we, okay. And we see, well, what's causing that? And going, oh, the machine was bolted to the ground and it was just slightly out. But they've lived with this for like 2 years. And how there are no more, one-armed tradespeople out there. And we're just going like, why didn't you just get that fixed? Oh, yes, it's expensive to unbolt, move the whole machinery. Yeah, it's less expensive than your hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's the dumb stuff. They just go, oh, we just got to, it's a pain, but we just got to do it. And go, it's a pain if it goes wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So, living with stuff like that is, what would it really cost? And I bet, for an example, to get somebody in, whether it's a high-ab, whether it's just a lifting device to boom, unbolt it, put it, slip it.
They had entry overhead anyways. Don't even go there.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking really half an hour or two.
It might have been half a day of product of processing gone.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've lined up, get all the people that you need. We're going to plan this out. It's going to happen Tuesday morning. We'll clear the production line. It'll be half a day max.
Yeah. And
they still carry on doing the same dumb stuff.
Yeah, and this could just be applied everywhere. This could be how you organise your desk, how you organise the back of the ute with the tools. Where does the kitchen? We did it. We've got an old kitchen, which one day I'm, planning on replacing. But our rubbish bin used to be on one side of the kitchen. And then one day my daughter would just put it underneath the sink. And it's just suddenly so much easier. It was out of the way. Scraping the plates into the rubbish bin and then washing them in the sink, then the dishwasher. And it was like, suddenly we don't have a hell of a lot less scraps falling on the floor as it's... Yeah. There's these little ways that you can look at putting lean into life or making it more efficient.
We're awful at going to parties, right? Kate and I, because we're both in it now, and the more I teach, she's learnt off me, and we go out there and... Like, we went to Hobbiton for the first time a year or so ago, and we sit there and we go, how could we do this better or that? Or we enjoy the visual management and all. We're just horrible at parties because we just, everything we see now. And Kate goes, we had one actually client just gave us feedback once and went, I loved what you're doing. I really appreciate it. but I don't, because now I see all the things I could be doing.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's yeah, we have to be careful, and it can be careful with anything. It's like I sometimes turn up to a shed, and I'm inspecting a shed, and I'm only looking for what's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, make sure you keep your eyes open for what's right. You know, I might be like, that screw's over tightened, or that's there and that. But I'm like, hey, the client's happy, everything's happy, it's a good shed. You know, like there's 10,000 screws in this one. You know, like just loosen it.
Yeah.
It's,
But we just sometimes just persevere with some really annoying stuff.
Yeah.
And probably the final really dumb story, whether this makes the cut, but the real dumb story. I worked with a subcontractor, and they did a lot of civil work. So I think they clean drains and make sure the water's flowing and all that kind of stuff. And they had one job, so I'll come with you on site just to see how it goes.
Yep.
And they turned up to this civil engineering site, roading, and they parked up, went to the lead guy, then went back to their truck and sat down. I went, okay, so we're into it. And they said, nah, the foreman's not there. No one knows what's going. We've got to wait around for 2 to 3 hours. I went, say what now? They go, this stuff like this happens all the time. And I'm going, there's 2 of you in the truck for 2 to 3 hours before you even get to do the job.
Yeah.
But we accept that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just going, hey, we just brush it off as, it always happens. And you'll see that in tradies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're waiting for that Sparky. He's always late.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're waiting on this. We're waiting on that. Yeah.
But no, if you plan this, if you communicate, if you have those toolboxes with all your suppliers every day and you break it down, you don't just ask, sorry, Sparkies, I'll pick on you because it's front of mind, but, we'll be there at 11. Okay, so how do you want the site ready for you? And who's coming at 11? Not just we'll be there, is Pete and Sam there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. Now we know how they work, so we'll put that area of the building site ready for them. Good.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. There's so many simple things. Yeah, I mean, a couple of ones we did is you're meant to have a toilet on every building site. It's actually a legal obligation. But for whatever reason in the shed industry, nobody did when I started it. It was never there. And I was like, where do they go? You can imagine for some dudes in a rural spot, but then you're just wasting time driving to the petrol station. I was like, we build it into the cost. It's a toilet on site. The feedback initially was like, but we don't need this, save the money. Then I was like, no, mate, don't worry. That's just what I do now. And they're just like, so much easier, so much better, let alone for the ladies on site.
Yeah.
Rubbish bins. There was an expectation in the shed game that the guys had to take the rubbish away, or you just left the client with it. And I'm like, hey, if the client wants some cover sheets or some screws that's left over, talk to me, talk to the client. I don't really mind, but I don't want to leave them with rubbish. It's just get a rubbish bin on site. It's the same. It's so much more efficient. For a few $100, you can get a skip bin on site, put all the rubbish there, than expecting guys to put it all in their trucks, put it all in use, take it to the rubbish dump. Once you
make it easier for them, right?
Yeah.
This is how can we make your job easier? They'll enjoy it more, and when they're on the tools, unwittingly they'll be more productive because they're enjoying coming to work on your site, because everything's that makes their job easier is just there.
100%. And then we work in a world as most of our guys are subcontractors, so we'll give them a fixed price to do the thing. And so the easier we make it, the more profitable it is for them, the better the job that they do. As we get busier, as they could work for other companies building, as they prioritize our work. So I know that all the guys are like, no, I'd rather do Waikato Sheds work. It pays better. They've got toilets, rubbish bins, the stuff's going to be there. And I'm like, and then who do they? Because that's actually one of those secret sources of referrals, is people are going to go and talk to the dudes and go, hey man, I want a shed. I know you build all the sheds. So should go, bro, just talk to Waikato Sheds. They'll get you the best. Don't worry. The other one might seem a bit cheaper, but there's a reason. It's a secret source of referrals, is looking after the subbies. So that's it. They're our clients, is looking at them as the clients, is how to make them happy rather than just thinking about the clients. Because if the subbies are happy and do a good job, it'll be good for the clients. We'll probably get into anything else we want to mention. Let's start wrapping it up. But shout outs, how do we get hold of yourself, the NZ Lean Academy? What sort of services can you offer? How far would you go? I think there's so many cool examples for business people and
Yeah.
others and that. And yeah,
Probably need to start wrapping it up anyway
Yeah.
for time wise. Yeah.
yeah, man.
How do you want to answer that?
Yeah, how do you where do how do they find the NZ Lean Academy? Where can they find more about you?
We're online, obviously,
Yep.
nzla.nz. Did a bit of a rebrand last year, and we simplified our website, even the address. So
NZLA.
.nz.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Look me up LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm always, I'm not there as often as people think because I preset all my socials and all of that kind of stuff, but just send me a message.
Don't let them know our dark arts.
People think I'm there every day, every hour, but it's not true. Those are two.
So LinkedIn's the main platform to get you on?
LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm trying to build that up, but it's not there. But yeah, LinkedIn is absolutely where I live and breathe most for my socials.
Yeah, makes sense in the business community.
Yeah. And just give me a ring.
Yeah.
Or email, and just all those simple old school ways and just like, even if you're not sure, I'll talk you through. If I'm going past your business, call me up and say, can you come in and just tell me what you think? I'll give you a free hour.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just talk it out, and we'll just finish up with this. If somebody's thinking they've got a business, and it could be anything from a, I don't know, small one-man band tradie to a massive manufacturing company. I mean, you've described stuff that would help everybody. What would the process be if they get in touch with you, your phone number's on the website, or send an email? What are you going to do from there?
Yeah, we're just going to understand what they're trying to achieve.
Yep.
What's their biggest challenges? What's their biggest frustration? See if lean is, our approach is going to help deliver towards that.
Yeah.
We're not always the only solution. There's always 2 or 3 things that need to be done. If it's relatively local, like we work right across the country, but certainly if we're in a different area, we'll come and kick the tire, because there's nothing like walking around, seeing everything in context. And we've either got our consulting options, and we've simplified that over the last couple of months, or we've got a couple of online leadership courses and workshops that we can do.
Yeah.
So depending on your budget, your maturity in this kind of stuff, if you know it, but you just want accountability, like the personal trainer, that might be just the online stuff, might be enough to just get you going. And then we'll just go, this is how we work. So, so it really does keep it simple, but just meeting their goals.
Awesome. Anything else you want to shout out or say for the?
No, I think it's just more of just keep talking. If you're not sure, like I don't bite too much.
Yeah.
We're reasonable. I think we're quite likable people. So if you're not sure, just reach out, talk to us, give you challenges. I'll tell you what to do, even without coming out.
No, 100%. Anybody listening that's thinking about it a guy like Rob, I've known for 50 years, always been good, easy to deal with. But having somebody that's been inside so many other businesses is everyone's experiencing the similar challenges, just in a different setting. And so being able to say, hey, this is what we've done here, this is what we are able to do, can be so helpful. And then for the team, sometimes, as we all know, kids don't want to listen to the parents, sometimes workers don't really want to listen to the boss. So it's easier to have somebody else coming in and go, hey, this is the message, this is what we're trying to do, and might actually have a better way of explaining it.
I've seen that so many times. Bosses just go, we said that last year, just because it might have been the wrong moment or a slightly different way. Just take it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. I appreciate everything you're doing, coming in, doing that, and improving New Zealand. And that, I think it's so key that we're just, as businesses, we've got to be positive. We've got to keep growing. We've got to look at how we can get better. We can't worry about hoping the government's going to fix everything. I don't know, Trump or the tariffs or any of these other things that people aim is. We can control so much of what we can do ourselves. If we can be the best we can possibly be, the economy will generally unfold positively for us.
100%. Excellent.
Awesome. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.